Right, I figured out what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try to cut this material into orange segments, for want of a better way of describing it. Similar as the cushions, similar shape to the cushions. So in strips. Then I'm going to get the old sewing machine out and see if I can sew it together so it looks neat. Obviously, that does depend on how well I can actually do the bloody thing. And the other problem is, I've been thinking about, is how I'm going to get the material to come up to the edge. Because obviously it's got to end neatly, and I think what I might do is fold it over and sort of edge it like so, and then what I might do, I might actually staple it in from the outside, so you can still see the staples, but I reckon if you can see the staples, as long as I do it neatly enough and in a straight line, I don't think it'll look too bad. And I think trying to staple it behind and then fold it back over will be virtually impossible, because by doing it the way that I think I'm going to do it, it'll mean I'm going to have to basically make the whole of the lining for the top all in one piece and then glue it on afterwards. And so to try and do that and to try and staple it behind will be impossible. Well, it'll be impossible for me. So yeah, so I'm going to find the old sewing machine. I think it's in the loft somewhere. It'll be around, and give it a go, see if it works. Right, so I've taken it off the base and turned it around so I can work better, or it'll be easier to try and figure out how to do this completely. Now this stuff that I got is quite thick and it's very hard to put it into shape. So what I'm going to do is get rid of that crap, and I'm going to use the silver stuff. I'm going to use it as a template, because I'm going to try and make a template with that, and then cut it onto the thick sort of like Fulks leathery sort of type stuff. So I think it will be easier. So I shall try that now. So here's a complicated bit. We're making we're going to try and line out the top of this with some Fulks leather stuff that we've got. Now we're going to make a template out of this stuff, because it's a lot easier to make it. It's a lot easier to manipulate and make the template anyway. So we obviously have our centre point, which is the top, which is here, centre point of the top, and then we're going to go down in like for an orange segment, basically getting wider and wider and wider as it goes down. Now the complicated bit is this line, or the lines down the side, so say this one here, I don't know how well you can see them, but they're not actually straight on this piece of material, because this material isn't flat. If it was flat, you could do it with a ruler, it would be easy, but obviously this doesn't lay flat because it lays in the arc. But they need to appear to be straight when it's fitted, you know, when it's all sewn up together and fitted in. So the way that I've done it, if it'll work, is I've got my material in there and I've just got a straight thing, well, relatively straight, and laid it over the top like so, and then just looking down it by eye, I've gone down and drawn the line down. So it will be a straight line, although it won't be a straight line when I flatten this piece of material out. if that makes sense. I think I know what I'm talking about. Theoretically it should work, but we will see. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. Now, oh yeah, no, what I was going to say was, the good thing about this is because it's all the same shape in here, apart from the speakers and that sort of thing, which we're going to come to later on, the actual basic shape of it's the same. So as long as we get one template sorted out and working perfectly, then we'll just be able to do it over and over again. So it's a matter, I've got a sort of chance to play around with it before I start cutting the proper material and making sure that it will work. But yeah, so hopefully once I get the template right, I'll only have to do one and I can just use that over and over again. And my theory is that it will work, but obviously we will see. I've just been thinking about this now, I've just been talking about it, and I am going to have to measure this out. I can't just guess it. I'll come back to you in a minute. So using the template that we made, I'm going to put it onto the back of the material and draw around it, like so, and theoretically that should be the shapes that we need for our segments. So I'm going to cut these out with a with about 1 centimetre on either side of the line, on the outside of the line, so I can sew it all together going down the line. So I'll cut them out now and then we'll go from there. So cut a few out. By my calculations, I'm going to need 8 of these to start with, and then a longer one to go down where the amplifier little thing is for the speakers. So what we're going to do, as you can see, if you can see, there's the line for our template. So I've cut it with about 1 centimetre or so to spare on the side so we can sew it. So what we're going to do, we're going to get 2 of these and go back to back, like so, and then we're just going to sew it down the line if we can, as much as we can, and try and get both the lines on each side to line up when we sew it. So we're going to go all the way down from the top to the bottom. As we start adding a few of these together, it's going to get harder and harder to do. At the top end, anyway, where they're all joining, where they're all close together. At the bottom end, they should be far enough apart that it won't be a problem. So we've got a trusty old sewing machine out of the loft, and we're going to try sewing it together now. Right. So we've managed to sew 3 together so far. I don't know how well that's going to come out on video. Let's have a look. It's gone together ever so nicely, or pretty nicely anyway. And then what we've done is we've cut the excess off as close as we can to the stitches. Now this is pretty thick stuff. It's pretty tough stuff, so we can go quite close to the stitches and try and get rid of a little bit of as much of the waste as possible inside. So to give us an idea of what it's going to look like, let's line out the inside. When we turn it the other way round, it's going to kind of look a bit like a football in reverse, sort of. Yeah, so I'm going to carry on stitching these together, and then we're going to see how they fit in there. So as you can see, I've sort of sewed most of them together, coming round to here, And then where it goes around the front, they're going to be a lot shorter, obviously. I'm going to make them longer than the edge, so I can somehow fold it back around. Hopefully I think it will look alright, but we'll see. So, sewed them all together and just sort of pushed it in nice and just sort of like pushed it in there a minute. It's not fitted in. So it all fits sort of relatively well. Now I've made a bit of an error here. Done this all arse about face as usual. Sort of figured it out now. I've got to take the speakers out obviously to fit them in over the top. Probably going to have to take the cushions back out of it so I can fit the top bit in properly. And I'm really going to struggle in making the front edge of it neat. What I should have done is put the front bit on afterwards. What I really should have done is just fitted this first and then done the rest of the seat afterwards, but as usual I'm doing it the hard way around. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to make this neat. I'm not sure whether to fold it over like so and have a neat edge. I think that might work quite well. I don't know quite how to do it yet. So we'll just have to think about it a bit longer and then we'll come up with something. Okay, so figuring this out, to get this top bit in nicely, I've had to take all the cushions out. So they're all out now. Taking the speakers out both sides as well. I'm going to try and leave this on. And what I'm thinking of doing is just bringing the top bit up to the inside edge up in here. That's going to be my plan. And if I can't get a good finish on it, what I might do is put a bit of beading or something on it afterwards to try and sort it out afterwards. So that's what we're going to try and do. So I think I'll turn the seat upside down and I'll try and fit it in with it upside down. Be easier to see what's going on. So I've had to rethink this again because our little sewing machine wasn't man enough to go through 4 levels of this as it would have needed to make the edge as nice as we wanted it to. So what we're going to do, or what I've started doing, is actually sort of hand sewing it around the edge. I've started here, I've gone to there, round it, and so far got up to there, which I think will probably be alright. It's quite hard work and I'm definitely not a tailor, but I'm hoping that the overall effect at the end of it will be okay. Okay, so it's in. This is very dark, this phone, and it doesn't work particularly well, this camera. But I've sewed it in around the edge as best I can by hand. And I've put the speakers back. Move yourself, just go. Come on, shoot. Put the speakers back in as well. There and there. So it does actually look pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. It's very difficult to see with this. Hopefully what I'll do when I've finished it, I'll get a decent camera so you can see what it really looks like. But that's good, that's in. So all I've got to do is tie it around the bottom and then refit the cushions. I haven't actually fixed this in at all because it's been self-supporting with it being sewed around the front and the speakers. It's kind of self-supporting it up. And I think what I might do is just staple it a little bit underneath the underneath where the cushions go, staple around the bottom maybe, and just sort of like leave it sort of loose in there. I think that might be better. It's still tight, but not actually. So I was going to glue it in, but I don't think I'll bother. But yeah, so far so good.